start that. Okay. Hi. My name is Michael Barajas. Thank you for agreeing to do this interview with me. Would you please give a brief introduction, so to say?
Yeah, my name is Justin Couch. I'm the COO of a company called Tiknors Men's Clothier, which is an upscale men's clothing chain, started in Cleveland in 93. 13 locations. We've been in business a little over 30 years, and I oversee operations, same store sales growth, recruitment, communications, and HR for my company.
Okay, that's awesome. And so going into the men's luxury like brand industry that you work in, would you say it's more of a overall luxury or more niche market, or how would you describe who you tailor to? Your
It's 100% a niche market. Men are not interested in clothing nearly as much as women, so the men's side of the business is a lot more centralized and specialized, I would say, than what it is on the women's side. We see it all the way down to the co-tenancy that we see in a lot of the malls that we're in. So when we go to do real estate site selection for where we feel the next best property for us to open is located, we usually go to malls that have high-end anchors to them. You know, Nordstrom is one of our favorite to be near because of the fact that we'll catch a lot of spillover from people who aren't satisfied in their business, walk out into a mall, and then we're able to really clean up on those. But we actually focus more so on the other side of the business, and we see where the malls are that have the nicest ladies stores, because historically women drive the fashion industry much more than men. And at least with our business, you know, we're listed in the fashion category, but I wouldn't really classify us as a fashion business. We outfit businessmen in suburban America. So we thrive in those environments in either large or mid-sized cities where we go out into the suburbs, into the local malls where you can park, where women can push strollers and go shopping in the Christmas time, find a nice store, drag their husbands back to it. And then we kind of help men build their professional wardrobes from that category.
Okay, that's awesome. And in your view, would you say that how essential is traditional marketing to your company? Or do you think that like marketing has shifted in your company in the past 20 years or so? Or how's the digital age changed anything really for you guys?
It's definitely changed. Anybody who says that the digital age hasn't changed their business is fooling themselves, in my opinion. Now, do I think we're the one of the ones that it has changed dramatically and completely disrupted our business? No. Don't get me wrong. The majority of the products that you see listed in our stores, you could easily find on a website if you Google them, you know, and dove down deep enough. But what makes our business special is the fact of the personal experience that people receive when they go in the store. As an example, I can't tell you how many times a week it happens where Joe, CEO from XYZ Corporation, comes in and he says, my business is blown up. I have to do all these additional responsibilities. I don't really know what I'm looking for. I know I need to kick my dress up. And the nice thing he gets about coming into our business is our salesmen are specifically trained to ascertain what his needs are, what he already has, what he does for work, how he dresses on a day-to-day basis. And we've always approached our service aspect in a very different level. You know, most other retail businesses, they say, how may I help you? What do you want? What can I pull for you? What are you looking for? And in our case, we take a different perspective because we think most men actually aren't educated on how they should be dressing for business. Or even if it's not for business, and a man comes in and says, I'm going to a wedding, and he might drive truck for a living and he has to go to a wedding. So he says, I want to buy a suit. And a lot of the times we will put that guy into a different concept that will work for a wedding, but will also be something he will use more in his personal life on the weekends afterwards. And it's really that customizable, personal attention, consultative type setup that we really live and die by. That's kind of the crux of our business. So, getting back to your original question, when it comes to marketing, it does make it a little bit more difficult for us. For example, our website traffic, it goes up every year and we do a decent job, but our design has never been to create an online store that people can come in and buy from with ease. We don't go out of our way to make it difficult, but everything that we do with our website and a lot of our SEO optimization and all the traffic that we push towards it, it's pushed and designed towards getting people to come into the store because we know that that's the identity of our business.
Okay, that's awesome. So you guys focus more on like a storytelling experience kind of perspective, so then it engages the people more and creates more of like a brand. Would you say you have a lot of brand loyalty then with your consumers?
We do, and I think almost none of it has to do with our digital marketing or how nice our website is, because our website's okay. I'm not going to flex on our website, so to speak, but it's also intentionally okay because we know if you really want to get the gist of why you shop at our store compared to others, it comes from the personal experience of being in the store. So everything that we design is designed to kick people into the brick and mortar side of our business.
Okay, that's awesome. And oftentimes with these like storytelling kind of stores, you can sometimes see a many companies, especially high end, they do like a false scarcity. Would you say your store does that, or do you think that's more counterproductive? Like
Are you talking about
holding back,
inventory levels and
yeah, like holding back sales for specific items, saying, "Oh, that's not available," when it is, or like trying to do a little push-pull method.
well, I'll say this. If you remove the word false from the false scarcity, you would describe the way we buy. And
Okay, okay,
don't get me wrong. I'm into the idea of, yes, it's a law of economics is supply and demand. So if the
yeah,
supply is low, the demand is high. I'm not saying we're intentionally trying to manipulate a tactic to manipulate our clients, but the truth of the matter is, if you're coming into a store like ours, our target demographic, as much as we claim to be high end in men's fine retail, we're not as high end as most others. We're in shopping malls. So our goal is to be able to appeal to everyone who walks into the store.
okay,
So if you have a high school kid who's looking for something for prom, I want to be able to completely outfit that guy. But also, if you have a CEO who has the finer taste to things in life and he's looking for very rare, high-end goods, I also want to be able to capture that business too. There are people who have specialty stores that cater just towards that guy, and they might bring not necessarily more variety, but a little bit more of a higher end specific few lines that we choose not to carry because that's not the crux of our business. But the vast majority of the clothing that we carry in our store, we have I don't know how familiar you are with brands and men's clothing, but we have companies like Robert Graham, which will even do limited edition releases on some of their shirts. But for us, we'll get a size scale of maybe five or six of an item per store, and we can get it in on a weekend. And if we sell through every piece, we don't reorder that. We do it
okay,
intentionally because typically the guy who comes in and spends $298 on a shirt doesn't want to go to a party that night and see four other guys wearing the same $298 shirt he purchased.
yeah,
So it's kind of one of those, if you're going to be that store, you need to be that store. So when we buy concepts like that, we buy them in limited quantities and we stick to our guns. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't carry black suits, navy blazers, brown shoes, and tan belts. Those are things that we reorder as we sell out of them, blue jeans. So we have a lot of count and fill pieces. And with those, we order them. We tell our customers, you can come in 6 months and I'll be able to get this for you. But the vast majority of the more unique pieces in our business are intentionally purchased that way. And our clothing is ordered 6 to 9 to 12 months in advance. So right now, if we go to a buying show, we're buying for actually, we would be buying for fall of 2026. So when I talk about this being an intentional thing, these manufacturers will make as much of it as we want them to and as much as we're willing to pay for. So when we order them, we intentionally order smaller amounts for the more unique pieces to keep that mystique of the way we are and what we carry.
okay. I actually really like that idea that you guys focus more on quality and craftsmanship and purposely don't make it so that everyone has it. You guys are still making a profit, I'm assuming, like still successful, but still having that mystique to it, which is really nice.
Well, and it helps our salespeople too, because salespeople always love to say, if you don't buy it now, it won't be here tomorrow. And
Mhm.
my point is, if I'm showing a client a $298 shirt, but then I also have six pair of dress slacks that I regularly in stock, I can look at them and say, look, if you want to wait on these pants, you can come back 6 months from now and say, I want nine pair of black and I can get them for you. This shirt, if it's gone tomorrow, I can't get it back in. So I'm not bullshitting you when I say it won't be here. This, it won't be here. These will. And then they kind of look at you and they're like, okay, you're actually being honest.
Okay, cool. And you mentioned before that you do have recurring customers. There's some loyalty with the company. Would you say that there's any operational like strategies that you guys use to differentiate between like new customers or existing customers? Do you think the strategy changes at all for like um, sales or marketing or just in-store experience?
It does. So our customer retention, for the most part, is done again through the experience that people get in our store. We make use of a CRM module to where every time a customer comes in and makes a purchase, we take some detailed notes about them. It shows what they purchased. We might even put notes in there for why they purchased it. We'll put down what they do for a living, what their clothing needs are. And I will put down what their dog's name is and where they went on vacation the last time, because when you deal with a high volume of customers, regardless of how good your memory is, and regardless of how wonderful of an experience you may have given to a client, for our salespeople, it can be very difficult to remember who everyone is. And the way our SRM module works is 30 days after the date that they've picked their clothing up, our sales associates are to give them a phone call that is completely non-sales generation related. They call them and they just want to make sure that everything's okay. And it's always interesting to see because we're so used to being marketed to in this world that when a customer gets a phone call and someone says, "Hey, my name's Bill and I'm calling from Tiknors Men's Clothier," instantly the customer sighs and they're like, "Okay, what the hell does Bill want?" But then when Bill says, "I'm literally just calling to make sure you're happy. Hopefully by now you've been able to wear all the products you bought from us. If it was for a specific event, they can say, hopefully your niece's wedding went very well." The customers then, like, oh, this guy actually remembers me. And there's no selling whatsoever involved in it. And then after that, our SRM module will put in a call to call them, let's say, 90 days out. And then what we'll do is, maybe they came in to get the suit for the niece's wedding, but then they also ended up finding a sportswear line that they really liked for casual wear. When we get a new shipment of that line in, we'll call that same customer back 3 months later and say, "Just wanted to let you know, this is Bill from Tiknors. Hey, we got in the new, you remember that shirt you bought last time? We just got in a new line. I know how much you loved them. I just wanted to give you a heads up and let you know that they were here." And what we found from a marketing perspective is, we as humans were, the way the brain works, and synapses are literally burned panels between pockets of information in our brain. So when they receive that first phone call and they're not irritated by hearing that salesman's voice because the salesman didn't want anything from them, just wanted to check up on them, and they felt great from that. The second time they hear that salesman's voice and he's letting them know about the product line that was in the store, they don't get the vibe that this is some random marketing call. It sounds like a more personal thing from somebody who actually knows them and is actually referring to a product they've already purchased and letting them know that new ones came in. So we've found that it's a little bit grassroots and it's a little bit old school, but the marketing style that we do for customer retention is through our follow-up system. And if a client ever does, the good thing about the first call that we make to them is, let's say they picked their pants up, they didn't try them on, and there's a problem with them. They're an inch too short. Well, we catch those. And so we say, "Hey, I'm really sorry to hear that your pants are an inch too short. Whenever you can make it out to the store, give me a call and let me know. I'll make sure there's a tailor there. We can lengthen them. I'll buy you a cup of coffee. You can go shop around the mall and I'll fix them so you don't even have to make a trip back out." So the problems that would naturally arise, which would cause a lack of customer retention, we feed those out. And the good thing is then again, that follow-up call after 3 months, now it's not just somebody who was checking up on you, it's somebody who caught a problem before you had the chance to bring it up to them, and then they fixed it. So it just really sets us up for a strong, loyal relationship with our clients.
Okay, that is really awesome. I've never heard that kind of strategy before, the follow up and then make sure that everything is well, but that sounds like it really works well for you guys.
It does.
Um,
It takes a little bit more elbow grease, which is usually why a lot of people don't do it, but when done correctly, it's wonderful.
so would you say that there's any, you said that you guys don't really like show off the website you guys have. Would you say that you feel that you're falling behind at all uh with consumers, or you guys think that you guys have a steady income of buyers and like your relations with previous buyers, checking up on them? Or do you think that there's something in the future that you would do to implement new Gen Z, maybe like digital marketing?
So for us, I think the main marketing hiccup that we have in our business, we're able to really, once we get our foot in the door and we wait on someone once, even if they don't regularly come back and shop with us, they speak positively of us. And if a need arises, we do a really good job at having a high level of them wanting to come back to us. Our issue is new properties. So when we open new properties, we go into slam dunk malls. Like I said, we'll open near Nordstrom in a very high-end, affluent community, and we usually pick the best mall in a major city in the right demographic, and we go into it. The problem is we aren't Chipotle. I can't put up a commercial on TV and say Tiknors, a men's clothing store, is arriving. I don't know where you live, but if we're not near you, you're going to go, what the hell is Tiknors? Um, it's a very difficult thing to market for, and it's because we're a niche business. Now, what we do so well on the customer retention and the customer gaining standpoint is kind of what hurts us, and it's because we don't have a huge social media presence. And the majority of our customers, they're starting to now become the people that are much more multimedia, digital media involved. I'm 44 years old. I've been with the company since I was 18. And I remember the first idea of bringing up things like Instagram or Facebook were laughed at because they said, that's for kids. Well, fast forward 20 years, it's not for kids anymore. The whole world has changed. And I think those are the main media marketing tools that are used in the world today. But that still being said, we're not Chipotle. We're not something that somebody wants to click and buy. So many of our suits, I can show you a picture of a navy suit, and I carry price points that go anywhere from $299 to $1,600. Well, online, it's really hard to differentiate the difference between a $1,600 navy suit and a $300 navy suit. But when you're in the store, you try them on, you feel them. The salesman, educates you on the differences, then it makes a lot more sense. So that really alienates a tremendous amount of our business from being purchased. One of the other things that we run into when it comes to marketing is we've never been a price-driven business and we're never going to be. So typically what this means is we relegate a lot of our website purchases to being sales. So everybody who buy, I shouldn't say everybody, the majority of the people who buy online in luxury goods, they're going to do that because they want to catch a deal. So any items that we have that are a season old, they usually get sent to my corporate office where they're organized, inventoried, and then we'll put those up on our website as a way for our customers to get, last season's, last year's piece at 30 to 50% off. They don't mind that it's a year old because it's just the style that came out then. It's not like the shirt's changed. So it is a way for a consumer who really likes our products and likes our lineup, but doesn't necessarily have the budget to buy it. It's a way for them to kind of do that.
Okay, that's awesome. Since you guys are more tailored towards like craftsmanship, quality, more than pure profits, would you say that well-made products kind of market themselves whenever someone sees them in person?
They do for a good amount. So a lot of it is definitely what we introduce. And when you get a customer's trust and the customer truly understands that the salesperson isn't just trying to sell them, but they're trying to ascertain what they perceive their needs to be, the customers are going to follow our lead and they're going to look at what it is that we show them. So to your point, if you show them a very expensive item, but it's not very well put together, they're going to usually be able to tell that. And even if the customer isn't educated, I consider that unscrupulous and predatory. We have different price points and they're for a reason. One of the things that I'll say to clients is because each one of our stores is equipped with an on-site tailor shop where we will fix any problems that arise from anything you purchase, and we do it for free. If we bring in an item that isn't a good item and it's going to cause problems for customers a lot, we're going to feel the brunt of that. We're going to have to fix all those issues. So we end up dropping the line and getting rid of it. But a lot of the high end pieces do sell themselves. We have a good amount of our clients who are very educated on the lines, the business, the way the clothing's made. So there are some people who come in and see a name and they instantly understand that the quality is there.
Okay, awesome. Um, you mentioned also as well that it's very hard when you're opening a new store because not many people know the brand. Would you say that there's a limit, like a soft cap onto um, how well known your brand is because of the lack of marketing? Or would you say it's probably you guys are content where you are? Like you said, you focus more on quality and not complete overproduction sales.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue is the fact that we're always going to be a niche business.
Yeah.
I don't see us, for example, we have three Cleveland area stores, and Cleveland to me is a B or a C level city when it comes to call it opportunity, finer goods, total wealth. average income level, things of that sort. Uh, but most cities we go into, we pick their premier mall, we drop one store there, and then we move on to another. And I think because of that, it makes it very difficult for us to do massive marketing campaigns because we have one location in each major city. So if a lot of the times when we do open in new cities, even if it's completely out of, like, for example, the store that's on an island right now is our most recent opening. It's in Minneapolis, St. Paul. And still going in that store and working a good amount, I'll hear, I'll hear people come in and go, "Oh, one time I was out of town in North Carolina and I went into one of your stores," or "I was in Chicago and I saw one of your stores." So we do get a little bit of it, but it's not like because when you go to open a store in a mall, which is where all of our stores are located, you have to put up a big wall and then they ask for a graphic or something nice. So it kind of advertises, "Hey, this store is coming soon." And I would say that the vast majority of the response when we put up that wall in a mall is people go, "What's Tiknors?" And then they look it up on their phone and they go, "Oh, this looks like a nice men's clothing store." So, what's the answer there? I don't know. Do we need a Geico Gecko ad that we start doing in the areas that we're located in to build the cute brand? And then at the end of the day, it comes down to what's the cost of something like that associated with, because we're not talking about thousands or tens of thousands of dollars anymore for that type of marketing. And then you have to work that out with the type of profit that the business produces on a regular basis. We're a company that's backed by a venture capitalist group. I sit on our board, and that's always been one of the discussions when we've put the business up for sales. Is there a group that would come by that would say, "All right, we're going to push the pause button on profit, and we're going to dump everything we have into marketing just to see how much of a name we can get for this business, so that when we do open new stores, they open quicker, so that the existing business has an easier time having same store sales growth." Most people who acquire companies aren't interested in pausing profit, so it is what it is. But outside, and the other thing I will say is, there are marketing geniuses out there in the world, but it's a lot easier to market for a business that has a tremendous amount of exposure. And when you are a small, we're a laser focused kind of sniper shot store. We're not just blasting bullets all over markets. We go to the premier spot, we put one in there, and we go with it. So it does make it incredibly difficult to reap the benefits of what a lot of traditional marketing does.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Um, Overall, yeah, I think I'm getting closer to the end of my questions. Overall, would you say s since you guys don't focus heavily on marketing, I feel like you guys are like the perfect company to ask this question. Um, if you were forced to cut off all marketing like tomorrow, would you say on an operational standpoint, would there be other maneuvers you guys would use to maintain uh, staying afloat, or do you guys think you guys will still survive without anything at all, like any website or stuff like that, like just your in-store experience? Would you say that it would be survivable? If not, do you guys think you're in a comfortable position where you are right now?
Yeah, I'll say I would consider it to be tremendously unwise for any business of any size and in any amount of niche or, global reaching to cut off all marketing. It would drastically hurt any business. And if it won't drastically hurt you, then you're not doing enough marketing to begin with. Our website isn't that important to us, but like I said, if we go to recruit new people, if we put up a barrier over a new construction site and say this is where we're opening a store, everyone references your website to get an identity of you first. So it would hurt very much in those categories. I think it also substantiates your business a good amount when people can go to a website and they see that it's not a website that someone's kid drew up and threw up on it's actually you put money into it and it's a legitimate website. It gives you instant credibility, which a business like ours, which has been serving communities for 30 years successfully, deserves. So I think that question for almost any business, it's impossible for them to say yes. Now, for us, would we go out of business? Absolutely not. Where's the majority of our marketing come from? It comes from our salesman doing the job in the store of giving the experience, then following it up with phone calls, then continuing to market to those people. We're old school in the fact that we'll still send out mailers. Recently what we did is we ran numbers in our store and we saw anybody who had spent I think it was $1,500 or more in our store, but hadn't been in the last calendar year. And we emailed them all a special where we gave them a $50 gift card. And we said, come on in. So, we do things like that. For our new store openings, we will send out physical gift cards where we'll actually purchase lists from companies that we respect the names that are going to be on the list. And we feel that they're going to really be people that would transfer into shopping at our store. So we'll purchase those and we'll send out, 5,000 $50 gift cards, and we'll do it 30 days before we open a store. And that just it does two things. Even if the people don't come into the store, you're at least letting those people know that the store is open, giving them $50 for, and it's funny because we have to try to do the target demographic of that. For people who live in homes that are, 2 million bucks, $50 might not be enough to get them to come to your store. However, if their wife loves to shop, if it comes into the mail and they go, "Hey, I got some new store, check this out." Does that get her to come in and pick out a shirt? And if she has a wonderful experience, does that up your chances of getting the husband back in? Yes. Is it enough for our new stores to open with such a traffic flow that they can start doing business just like the existing stores right away? No. Unfortunately for us, it's usually about 2 years before they start really legitimately doing the type of business that we feel that they should be. So that's always been a thorn in our side when it comes to new store openings. They're very unentertaining until that 2 year period comes. And then with us doing our own organic marketing, building clients, getting referrals, following up on the people, the business starts to get reciprocal enough that then with the new traffic you're getting in from just the mall that you're in, it starts to get interesting. And then we continue to build from there. So some of our stores do obscene numbers relative to the square footage and the size of the business, but they're stores that we've been doing the right thing for 15, 20, 30 years. And we've literally seen generations of customers where the kids are little kids, and now all of a sudden he's in college and he's buying his first suits. And, so we have a lot of that going on too.
Okay, awesome. That is really great. I did finish the rest of my questions, but thank you very much. Yeah, thank you for meeting me on your free time as well.
Hey, no problem.
I know you're probably really busy, and I really appreciate it.
No problem. If you need anything in the future, feel free to reach out to me.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you very much.